It's Friday morning. You know what that means? It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And it's me, Stephen Evert.
All right, well, we have a whole lot to catch up on. We didn't record last week. There was a lot of Christmas stuff and post-Christmas stuff happening, and we were going to record earlier in the week, and Patrick caught a little case of the flu, so we're ready now, and we're doing it remote, so bear with us if we have any complications. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to start with AEW first because we want to touch on World's End. And we do have a little bit of WWE stuff at the end, but first note we've got in our notes for the week is, why is Toni Storm still having a breakdown?
I mean, realistically, that was the whole point of this character, was that she had lost her title. She was having a freak out. She got the title back. Why are we still having a breakdown?
Well, because she's still stuck in limbo.
The character's still over as hell.
Yeah, but is it? I mean, it's getting old quick, man.
No, it's over. Come on, Steven. It's over. People love it. People are loving it.
It's wearing me down. I ain't gonna lie. It is. It goes back to, I don't like it when your big champions are comedy-esque, and that's where it's fallen now, with the big wind-ups and it's got Luther. Come on, anything that has Luther in it, you can't take seriously.
But all he's doing is just scooping her up. It's not like they don't even give him poor man a line. He's just by himself. Just on the side.
Last night was funny, though, when he scooped her up, and she just goes, chin, tits, shoe, and flung the shoe off into the background behind her.
But here's the thing I'll ask you, Stephen. If it wasn't her, then who would it be?
And that's going to go into my next point here.
Let's ease on into that. Your note says there are 34 women on the AEW roster. Now that's changed.
There's now 36 women on this roster, and you're getting Toni Storm nonstop. You're getting Julia Hart nonstop. You're getting Sky Blue. You got Willow and Chris Statlander. So you got 5 that are on a regular basis out of 36 people. Now you got Mariah May coming in now. I guess you got Diona Perazzo. Yeah, however you say her name. So, but you've got 30-something women, and you're just feeding 29 of them to the same persons over and over and over. I mean, there are 18, half of those people have a winning record. 17 of them hadn't wrestled more than 10 times in the entirety of last year.
I mean, part of the issue could be that a couple of the top names are on the shelf right now. Britt Baker's on the shelf.
Is she, though?
At first, it's the thing I read the other day, and I didn't put this in the notes, was at first she said she was at home to help Cole rehab his injury, which seems like it would have been more in line for her to be at home when he was concussed instead of at home because he's got an ankle injury, because you could just get on a scooter and roll around instead of,
especially when his ass is on TV. I mean, how much home does she have to be when he's out on TV?
That is a good point. But then they said, I think she's got a rib injury. And then Hayter's still out. Who was the other? There was somebody else I feel like was still out on the shelf. I saw a report.
You got Thunder Rosa back. Does that pop anything?
Nah.
And you're serving up Abaddon as a big contender, and that's, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Patrick?
The AEW's women's division, it is still suffering from what AEW as a whole tends to suffer from, which is we can only use a couple of these people at a time. I get what Steven's saying with that aspect, but that's a criticism of pretty much all of AEW. I think Mariah May is going to be a big star. Her debut Wednesday night, it helps that she's incredibly attractive. It helps to be good looking in life and in wrestling. It helps. She was also laying her stuff in. I think she's a great wrestler too, from just what the little bit I've seen of her. Deonna Purrazzo is also a great wrestler.
You immediately
Jamie
overshadowed her. I think you overshadowed her.
But it was the same thing when they did Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. It was back to back like that. I I think Mariah May is going to be good enough in the ring that she's going to get herself over to where that doesn't feel like an overshadow moment. I mean, Deonna Purrazzo is somebody that she was in TNA, obviously. She's been in AEW for a little bit, like wrestling matches kind of here and there. So she's not new to the kind of the niche American audience that AEW has. Jamie Hayter is the big one whenever she finally gets healed. I think she's going to come back and be right up at the top of that card. Also, Mercedes Moné's name has been tossed around. Some people were thinking she might debut last night. That would be a huge signing for AEW. They have talented women. It's like with anything, it's the booking. Yeah, I don't think Abaddon should be in any kind of position where she should be on a pay-per-view with anybody. No offense to Abaddon, but that's like a bad indie gimmick. That's not even like
right
a good one. And it doesn't need to be on AEW. But I mean, if we're going to have this kind of hole up in the air with a bunch of people being hurt, like, why not let Toni Storm just cook with it a little bit? I mean, she is a fantastic wrestler. She's more interesting now than she ever was when she was doing the rock and roll chick or with the leather jacket or whatever she was doing. I mean, that's kind of a basic sort of thing. So I'm not mad at it. I do see Steven's point, though, is like, why is it just 2 or 3 people being featured at any kind of time?
And it goes back. I mean, yes, I agree. She is 100% more interesting than what she was, but as you have some incredibly talented women that aren't coming at it as a comedy skit joke kind of thing. So why can't we, instead of just keep feeding a Riho or an Abaddon or whoever the next flavor of the moment is, to just continue just to feed to one person because, it gets a reaction from somebody. It needs something more to me. It just does.
Let's
I mean, maybe they're waiting for the right people to come in, though.
I mean, maybe.
Or is it just going to be another case of we got the right people in and we're going to give them a quick push and then disappear?
I think at some point soon, Statlander works her way up into the top tier of the women's division instead of just hanging around the mid tier for a while. But I guess they may wait and see if she can keep from being injured again before they push her anymore. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. I feel like she could hang with some of them. Let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit. Just because I chuckled at this when I read it in the notes. It says soft swerve, smack a bitch.
So this is going back a couple dynamites here, where you got MJF out there talking smack to he's not just talking smack to Swerve. He was talking smack to Joe. So you got MJF out there in the ring talking crap to Joe, who does nothing. You got MJF in the back talking crap to Swerve because he found a glove, who does nothing. That you can't have this guy talking trash to 2 of your biggest heels and not have either one of them get physical with him in some fashion. I mean, you got Joe standing over in a corner around the thing like he's in the Blair Witch, just staring off into nothing, just waiting to come around the corner because, I mean, he walked into a literal corner. It's not even like a door there. And neither one of them is going to throw a punch at this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it's a little bit of like wrestling logic, though, right? Like a lot of that, you could boil down a lot of wrestling interactions. Like, why don't they just absolutely fight each other? It's like, why does the guy just not bring a knife into the ring? Or like anything like that. Like, it's a little bit of that.
No. This is more about, I mean, I don't need them to have I just need somebody to give him just a quick whap right in the mouth and have him get buck up. And then the rest of the Mogul Embassy pops out the door. So he now is in a unfair fight. Joe drags him away. But I needed somebody to just, the moment you have somebody that is talking so much crap and doesn't get payback in that moment, because it's not like that's going to get any payback anytime in the near future. I mean, you need to have something there to make these guys not look like they're candy-assed or soft.
I don't think
Yeah.
they came off as soft. I think Samoa Joe made his motivation clear that he wanted to get MJF, a healthy MJF, to the pay-per-view to not have any kind of excuses. So he made his motivation. I mean, whether it's not a good one or if you like it or not, I mean, that at least it was clear from a storytelling perspective. And like for Swerve, like you don't want to have them two to get physical right now. Like you want to hold something back. It's a little bit like, if you're a fan of like the movie Heat, like De Niro and Pacino sitting at the coffee shop together, like having the moment where the two people who were around each other can sit down and say cool one-liners back and forth without any kind of physical interaction. I mean, I like that. And yeah, it does suck that we're probably not going to get any kind of payoff of it anytime soon because MJF is on the shelf for, I don't even know how long, foreseeable future, maybe most of the year is from what it sounds like.
I mean, gone forever.
Well,
We'll
Sure.
see. I don't know. When you sent that Players Tribune article, I took that as a sign that he had signed. But before we get into World's End, what did you think about that? Like, do you think he signed with AEW already?
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
that Players Tribune article feels like a team leader telling the locker room, hold it down till I get back. It doesn't feel like a goodbye. Andrade's goodbye tweet felt like a goodbye, where he's basically like, thanks everybody. But that MJF did not feel that way at all. It felt like a guy who very much takes a lot of pride in where AEW is at right now. And as he should be, he's been positioned as a top star there for most of that company's history in the 5 years. And it felt like, hey, rah, rah, here we go for the next 5 years. Let's do it. And I'm going to be the guy that helps us get there. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I think it's even more clear once we get into last night's Dynamite.
Yeah, you don't have Adam Cole as the devil be like, MJF's gone forever if he's actually gone forever.
Yeah.
So let's get into World's End. And because there is a shitload of matches, and quite frankly, the first half of them were not very good at all. You know, I went into this one thinking there's going to be a lot of like filler matches that could end up being just bangers because AEW's pay-per-views, typically, even the ones that I went into thinking, oh, well, this is just going to be kind of middle of the road, have been really great pay-per-views. It took a long time for this one to get going. So to start off, and we can just touch on the first part of these real quick until we get to later in the show. There was a fairly meaningless match. I felt like the 8-man tag match. The only note I made on it was that Garcia and Briscoe were dancing at the end of the match, and also, did that match really need to be 30 minutes long?
I called this, in case you missed the Continental Classic, here it is.
Which would have been good if it would have been like 15 minutes shorter.
Sure.
It was way too long. And also,
Entirely too long.
like, you know, so Swerve was supposed to have this match with Keith Lee that ended up not happening because Lee couldn't do an injury, and then they had this random ass match with Dustin. Just put Swerve in this match. How crazy would it have been to see Swerve and Danielson face off with each other? How cool would it have been to have Swerve, like those little moments where you kind of tease it going forward? Instead, they put Swerve in a meaningless match, and they had all these guys kind of in a meaningless match. It didn't really mean anything. Like,
Right.
Here's what makes me mad about that meaningless match with Swerve. Keith Lee has had this injury for over a year. And
Exactly.
he has known it has been bothering him a lot more in the last month. They knew he was injured. Why would you set up all this on the week before? Because this wasn't even like something they had planned for a long time. They literally set this match up on the Wednesday before this pay-per-view. You could have set that match up with anybody at that stage.
Yeah, you and I were texting that night because Patrick had said he wasn't going to get to watch it. And I was like, if he's known he was injured for a year, then what was he doing that was so important that he couldn't go ahead and take time off? It's not like he was in any major storylines this year.
No. He was in catering. I guess he was, enjoying that catering food and didn't want to miss out on it.
Yeah.
but like for as much as I love Daniel Garcia, like when that happens, you just replace Swerve. You replace Danny with Swerve, and you put Swerve in this opening match, and you give little treats of, could we see Swerve and Danielson in the future? Oh, that would be cool. You just have the little moments, right, where guys kind of face off and they go like, Danny Garcia doesn't need, that's not going to do him any good. Now, granted, he got the win and blah, 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 but like, we've already done this thing with Danny before, and like, the people clearly want to get behind Swerve, and poor Dustin Rhodes is out there getting his ankle busted on a cinder block, and like, the fans they could not carry less. They want to see more. They're whose house? Swerve house. Dustin Rhodes is going to the back, and people are like, we don't give a shit. We want to cheer this dude.
And see, this goes back to what I'm saying with the soft swerve. He busted his ass with a cinder block, and then it still went 10 plus minutes. How are you serving him up as a tough guy when you were letting him do a 50-year-old man with a cinder block and then give him a full ass match?
I'd agree. He should have busted him with a cinder block. Dustin Rhodes should have tried to do the thing, get in the ring, Swerve kicks him, boom. The referee, because why would the referee even start the match? Like,
get in, get out.
Yeah, you just have Swerve demolish the guy and let him cut a promo and talking about how he's coming for the title, blah blah blah. His music hits and the crowd loved Swerve anyway. They were behind him 100% in this match. I mean, it wasn't even. They just kind of wrestled for the sake of filling time, I guess, which they didn't need to. The pay-per-view was already 3 hours and 49 minutes, which is, if they're going to do these month like that, that's way too fucking long.
Well, it's also at $50 a pop. This man, you can cut this thing in half and charge me $25.
Yeah. Let's move on to Miro versus Andrade. Andrade's last match with AEW. Patrick and I have been big fans of Andrade and his work in this league, or league, whatever you want to call it. Like, how watered down does Andrade get when he goes back to AEW? And is he really going to get the time over there now that, like, he left there for a reason before, right?
Yeah.
So is he going to get?
Does he go back?
Get what he wants out of there?
My guess is he's number probably 19, 20 in a Royal Rumble. Obviously, Sean Spear is going to be number 10.
Yeah. I mean, Andrade will be a mid-carder.
He'll team up with,
he won't have the cool matches.
Yeah.
He'll team up with LWO, or he'll team up with Escobar, and
that's what I said a couple podcasts before. Like, some of these guys that want to, if the rumors are true, right? What the old say, if dirt sheets are to be believed, and some of these guys want to go back to WWE, it's not like any of these dudes are going to main event WrestleMania. Malachi Black is awesome. He's not main event WrestleMania. Andrade's not main event WrestleMania. If they want to walk, let them go back. They have significant others and spouses over there. Like, let them go. As much as it sucks, like, Andrade's a fantastic wrestler, and we've enjoyed a lot of his work, but like, he ain't irreplaceable. You can put anybody else in those spots and have them have those matches, so.
Maybe he'll go full Baker and have to stay home and take care of Charlotte and put out a post about how he's not getting any promo time.
There you go. And then he might come right back to AEW. Like, you don't know.
Yeah. So what do you think about, we've kind of talked about how we didn't like CJ Perry, this whole story with her and Miro, and then so she turns on her client and helps Miro get the win.
Shocker.
We are at least saved another threesome cuckold plot line.
Right. Well, let's wrap that one up and get into Tony Storm versus Riho. Like I said, we'll just do quick hitters on some of these first few. This one was fine. It didn't need to be on a pay-per-view.
Nah, could have main evented a Dynamite. Been all right.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what I'm saying. They aren't doing anything with her. She's time filler on a show.
The Queen, Jamie Hayter, will be back soon. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
The best women's wrestler in the world.
Just set up Hayter versus Britt Baker for when they both come back. We've already touched on Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes instead of Keith Lee.
Now, when I was watching this live, that was where I tuned in because I was out doing stuff and then jumped in. I've gone back and looked at some of the stuff now later, but that was where I started watching. I say that for a reason.
Yeah. Excuse me. After that, we had the 8-man match with Jericho and Guevara, Sting and Darby Allin versus Takeshita Hobbs, Big Bill, and Ricky Starks. And the note here, I'm assuming this is Steven, says it's okay to not have a match. A lot of rush story to get a pointless match. And then this was the day that, quote unquote, news broke about Jericho. And he got a lot of boos coming out.
I feel like we need to preface this. Allegedly.
Alleged news.
Allegedly, yeah. But those boos were audible.
Yes.
Have you seen the shot of, there's a still photo, because I didn't catch it in match, but Jericho's standing there on on one side of the ring. He was in the ring, but he's up against the rope, and Ricky Starks is just turning around, just like straight up giving him the bird.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, how much of that was real versus how much of that was, in-ring work? I wonder.
I think Ricky's probably working. I don't think Ricky is... if I was him, I wouldn't necessarily be happy with the position I'm in right now. Because
Sure.
he was a dude who just was it December, had the one-on-one match with MJF. Ricky's been thought of as kind of like the next guy, the next big thing in AEW, and starts and stops. And now here he is with Chris Jericho, and there's this whole other scandal that broke that has it overshadowed the whole match. I mean, let's be honest, like every time Jericho got in, he got booed. He's supposed to be the babyface. He's working as a babyface in the ring with Sting, and there's Kylie Ray chants, and he's getting booed. And if you're AEW and you're Tony Khan, there's no way you can just ignore this.
NDA signs everywhere.
They were chanting NDA. Heck.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But still,
And it's also not a good look when a reporter asks you in the press conference after the fact, and you're wearing a fake wig, and you just downplay dog. That's not a good look. So, take the wig off. This is a serious matter. You not only have fans positioned you as the good alternative, right? The safe working. You've touted that yourself. The working conditions, safe spaces. Now here's this alleged sexual harassment that a lot of wrestlers kind of co-signed kind of a little bit on Twitter after the fact. Hey, this was kind of everybody kind of knew this was a thing. And now it's seeped over into the on-screen product, and you're sitting there answering a question with a fucking fake wig on, looking like a damn dipshit, and you're the CEO of the company. What the fuck?
I think the best tweet I saw after it was that they were going to form a council, a 3-person council, and I think it was going to be headed up by Ric Flair, Don Callis, and somebody else. I was oh man, that's wrong.
But especially when you're the guy that talks shit about Vince McMahon. You can't do that. You can't have your company run like this. And if it comes out that you knew anything like this, or this isn't the first time you heard about this, what a black eye this is going to be. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say it's getting there, but Jericho's only had one match since this news broke. The NDA chants were the biggest part of this match. It overshadowed everything. And Sting's in the match. Ricky Starks is in the match. There's a lot of stars in there. It's only going to get worse.
This match did not need to happen. There was nothing to this match that made it necessary. You didn't have to do the Sammy Guevara immediate turn thing, join back up with Jericho with no kind of reconciliation other than the fact that you needed a match here on this particular pay-per-view. That's 15 minutes that you could have given to anything else, or expanded, or just cut the damn thing short.
You just cut the show, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to, this will be a quickie for sure. Julia Hart versus Abaddon for the TBS Championship. Steven had already lost interest at this point. We're still not to the matches where I didn't think they really picked up until the next match after this. So
yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, this is the heart of your pay-per-view that you've got people dropping $50 for, and the majority of it so far is a collision at best.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this obviously this match didn't need to be on a pay-per-view. One of the notes that I made after this was that, it says that the pay-per-views worked better when there were only 4 of them a year. And I said, so far, a lot of this could have been on Dynamite or Collision.
I think they're being generous with Dynamite.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, well, maybe one of the 8-man matches, because I just said a lot of this could have been on Dynamite.
Well, what came after this match?
Copeland and Cage.
Okay, so I was going to say
this is where
I was going to jump forward just a little bit. it not only like were some of the matches bad, but I felt like the order was off, like way off. Because if you would have taken Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston to have it started the show, because the Continental Classic's been the whole thing of AEW going forward. You're in basically New York City, Eddie's backyard. Have him start that. And then you could have taken the 8-man tag that started the show. That was just fine. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was what it was. Put that where you put Moxley and Kingston. And I think just for the flow of the show, it would have worked better because the first 2 hours of this show, hour and a half, didn't really have anything worth of consequence to it whatsoever.
No. So my notes on Copeland versus Cage said this is more like it. We're coming in hot on this one. My app shit the bed when they drug out the table, so I missed like a couple of minutes.
No, you didn't.
And then so I didn't. But it says the service came back up when Copeland was holding the belt, and he had the belt for about 15 seconds.
What you missed was them setting a fire, the fire immediately going out, them resetting the fire, then Adam throwing a evidently Nick Wayne weighs 100 pounds if he's sopping wet, because the way he bounced off that table, he was like somebody was skipping a rock across a lake. He went boom, and then 5 feet away from that table.
Yeah, I did see that on the replay or whatever.
But hey,
I thought the first half of the match was a lot of fun. This is the kind of thing I want out of a pay-per-view match, right?
It was a good match. And the heart of this match was the end of the match anyway, when Adam was holding the belt, and then we get the storyline that follows.
Yeah.
Which is like,
suck.
For as much as people have shit on AEW for not doing stories, this is kind of the reason why people don't want them to do it, because they don't do it great. You threw this like random ass Battle Royal for the TNT Championship on the 0 hour, which came out of nowhere. And then when Killswitch won, you were like, okay, I'm sure this isn't going to come back into play, whatever. And then like
2 hours from now.
Yeah, it's just,
see,
I don't know,
I'm
man.
not hating this. See, I like the ending of this story was fine because, I mean, we saw how it turns for them yesterday. They did, there is a good continuation story. It lets Cage do what Cage is going to do best, which is be the best villain on AEW at this moment.
Well, what saved them from what I thought was the terrible booking is at the end of this is just the fact that like Christian Cage is really good and Adam Copeland's are really good. Like the emotions in his face, he gets it through. Like that's what's salvaging this. It's not the actual booking itself. It's the people involved in it that are carrying the load for this. And like you said, yeah, Christian Cage promo from Dynamite on Wednesday. I mean, it course corrects a little bit. He's fantastic is what he does. Obviously everyone's they're chanting Luchasaurus. We're going to get that stupid ass name back. Whatever. At least he's doing something, right? At least he's involved in some kind of angle. You can't deny that Luchasaurus Killswitch looks like a behemoth. Especially because he's in AEW, which is full of smaller wrestlers, but he is actually a big guy. And so when that moment happens, I'm sure it'll be satisfying, but like, I don't know. Like if the battle royal for the TNT shot would have been set up earlier, then I'm okay with it. But you did it the day of. Like if this was a thing there, Christian was like manipulating and getting his guys in there for more shots and it happened on a Dynamite or a Collision or whatever, that's a different story. But this is just like pulling it out of your ass to try to figure it out.
Hey, we got all these people, might as well do a battle royal.
But yeah. You say this like that is an AEW MO to a T.
Well, it is, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I would rather just them wrestle because they don't know how to do the other stuff. So just give me the until you figure out, or you get a team of writers, or you give up some kind of control or something, just give me the matches. Cause when you do this other stuff, like I applaud you for doing it, I guess, but like you just, in my eyes, you just kind of fall short, or you're just kind of like pulling it, making it up as you go, which part of wrestling is messing it up as you go, but like not that much.
See, you say you're giving all the credit to Cage and Copeland there, but I'm gonna Luchasaurus as goofy as that is, he is giving you an emotional performance with no words whatsoever that is better than 3/4 of the people on that roster can do with all the words in the dictionary.
I would agree with you on that respect. I think, you know, it's like any kind of team sport. When you take, like, Christian and Edge are elevating these guys that are in these stories, because Christian and Edge have been professionals since they were 19 years old. Like, they just get wrestling. They know how it works. So, like,
who's the Edge?
Oh, Adam Copeland. Sorry. My bad. But that's why you have these, that's why you bring these guys to AEW, like, to have them mentor some of this younger talent. Like, even a guy like Nick Wayne, who, like, he stands there with a shit-eating grin on his face, and he has a punchable face when he's standing next to Christian. It's undeniable.
It's his haircut. It's his haircut,
It's
dude.
the haircut. I didn't like his mom getting involved. His mom is a heat magnet now. She's actually flourishing. She was fantastic in her little bit in the promo last night. So, like, you know, it's one of those things where they get like 75% of it right. And you go, man, if you could just get the other 25, you'd be cooking.
This is the best story that they have going on AEW.
Hey, I'm more interested in it than the devil stuff, for sure.
Yeah, we got a lot to unpack on the devil.
And the promo that came yesterday was a better promo than the other one that we're going to unpack here in a little bit.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and skip to Kingston and Mox for the Continental Classic titles, rather, because we can come back to the other stuff if we need to. I'm very happy it ended up this way. At first, I don't know why I thought they would let Swerve get this for a while before they put the main title on him later. So I was shocked that Kingston even ended up in the final. And then for him to go versus Mox, was another little bit of a twist for me, I thought. But he got the win, and I may or may not have teared up a little bit when he and Mox hugged at the end. And then did you see his promo afterward?
Yeah,
like the full promo.
I thought the promo afterwards that they aired online was like absolute. That's every reason why people love Eddie Kingston. Like, in a nutshell.
But again, aired online.
I agree with you. Should have been.
You don't have time. But you don't have time. They aired part of it last night on Dynamite, and I liked the way they edited it up.
Hold on. Did you just say they didn't have time? I'm sorry. I can show you 7 matches on this thing alone that they could have cut to give you that promo on this show, and then you can just share clips of it on Dynamite.
I'm talking about they didn't have time for every person in the Continental Classic to air all of their promos. I did like how they did that online, that part online. But they did do part of Kingston's promo last night on the show.
I'm gonna politely disagree with what you're saying here, but I'll get to that reason when we get to tomorrow or yesterday.
Gotcha. So Patrick, your thoughts on the match?
I thought it was great. I mean, you could tell where it's going. Like, they're not going to do high spots. They're going to chop the shit out of each other and punch each other. But, like, somehow when it's these two guys, they just have a natural chemistry, and it goes back to their bond, like their actual real life bond. Like, this is not pretend. This is not fake. These two guys actually really do love each other. Eddie has talked about numerous times how big of an influence Moxley has played in his life, and it comes through the screen, man. Like, you can't, when AEW's at its best, this is it. Because this is a guy like Eddie Kingston wouldn't exist on the other program. And we've said that multiple times. Like, to let people, you should highlight the people that you have that are different from anybody else in wrestling right now. And Eddie is, at the top of that list.
This is a man who threw himself on top of Moxley to save him from a massive explosion.
But people forget though, like, their first promo battle in Daly's place, where they first went up against each other for the title. You can go back and watch that promo online. It's absolutely riveting. Like, it is like some real life stuff. And, like, that's what Eddie gives you. And we'll see what he does with the Continental Championship now, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know. He's got we saw some contenders fight for it on Dynamite, which is just like 4 dudes who are like, who really gives a shit? I mean, I don't want to see Eddie wrestle any of these guys, but you know, I can't complain too much when I'm getting Eddie Kingston on TV. So
Yeah. And a pay-per-view.
yeah.
You know, when he first came in, if you had ever said, like, this dude will be damn near main eventing a pay-per-view.
Oh, I knew he would be. I've been a Kingston fan long enough where I was like, if somebody ever gives this dude a shot and really gets behind him, he's going to get a lot of people on his side. Because like I said, you go up and down wrestling. There's not anybody else that's like him, that's able to convey the amount of emotion he can convey. I mean, Eddie Kingston is the only character in wrestling that it feels like it's real. Like, you have no idea where Eddie Kingston the man and Eddie Kingston the wrestler, where it starts and stops.
Yeah, good point. The last match of the evening, MJF versus Samoa Joe. We all kind of knew where this was going. I'm assuming this is Stevens. One good thing came out of this. The rest is just Harry Potter jelly beans.
And everybody, I mean, some people enjoy eating booger. Some people enjoy eating, earwax. It just ain't my flavor, man. But Samoa Joe now has a belt. We are no longer suffering on the tyranny of the MJF babyface belt holding run that has again been more of a comedy act with a secondary title, with making the biggest title in your company into a secondary title. We now have the opportunity to potentially get it somewhere elevated. And the devil stuff that came after it. It was the story that they were going to tell, and
yeah. I mean, we said it was Adam Cole a long time ago, and then there was that little bit of something inside that was like maybe it is Jack Perry, which would have been a severe letdown.
Actually, you say that's at this point, I don't know if it would be a letdown, just because I've been asking this question from the beginning of why Adam Cole would want to be the devil and do the things he's done. We got that answer on Wednesday, and I'm still left asking why.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. I mean, I say it was weird, and I had a whole thing in my head, and I didn't write it down, and now I'm not even going to pretend. But it was something to do with why would he be working with Joe just so Joe could get the title. I think that was the main thing of like, it was like, why are you working him? Why are you working with him just for him to get the belt?
We had a month of Joe saying that he wanted a healthy MJF. And the Wednesday before the pay-per-view, he suddenly didn't want a healthy MJF. WTF. I mean, what was the whole? It is like they just keep throwing story at, that they've got like a big jug in the back that has a whole bunch of improv suggestions, and Tony Khan keeps pulling it out and is going, well, what if Samoa Joe wants him healthy? Well, but what if Samoa Joe doesn't? But what if? And it just keeps adding up to a whole bunch of nonsense.
I would have punted on this, making Adam Cole the devil. I know I said this before. I would have made it Swerve Strickland. I would have just said, hey, we're just going, here we go. This is not, Adam Cole is hurt. He's also still hurt. So he can't even get physical in the ring. He's got to literally be held back by doctors. Like Wednesday night, why would the doctors give the shit? They just put Dustin Rhodes, put his ankle through a damn cinder block. They let him go wrestle. And they're not going to let Adam Cole get physical.
Hold on, because I've got this in my note because it pissed me off so much. He hid behind a doctor who said he's not medically cleared after they had just put him in a pay-per-view match to defend MJF's belt because he was injured early in the match. How is he medical cleared 2 months ago that he's still not medically cleared now? This it's like a big jug of just let me pull out bullshit answers in the back that Tony's pulling from. Yeah,
this is where a writer's room comes in handy, because you put that on the board and be like, wait a second, but a month and a half ago, we did this thing where like we have to play by our own rules in our universe. We can't just make them up as we go. So that's why I would have just done, hey, this is not working. Who's the hottest dude in the company right now? Swerve Strickland. Okay. If Swerve's the devil, we're making that call. Now what happens?
You just said something that reminds me of a line that,
because that would have shocked people. Not to cut you off.
Yeah,
that would have been shocking, and not would have been like Adam Cole's the devil. Yes, didn't see that coming. If Swerve pulls off the mask, people would have been like, oh shit.
True. There's a line from The Office. Andy Bernard says they're playing a video or a board game, and he says, "We will continue to play by the rules that we are making up as we go."
Yeah.
See, to me, the way this, it makes no sense to me. And I guess we're kind of cutting over to Dynamite promo a little bit here. When you've got Adam Cole sitting there telling you that this started off because of the belt, but eventually the belt became unimportant to me, and now it's just about breaking him. Why is that? If in the same promo that you say, and Wardlow is going to go after this belt, and when I'm healthy, he's gonna relinquish it to me. So the belt is still important. Then why are we going this convoluted plan of getting Samoa Joe to remove the belt instead of just because Wardlow is back there choking MJF on a regular basis? Why could that have not just been a Wardlow versus MJF match? The devil comes out, blindsides MJF, gives Wardlow the win, whip off the mask, gets Cole, and Wardlow is part of this group. The story is right there, as opposed to this convoluted nonsense that they've now cobbled together.
I will say, at least for the match, and I texted you guys this, at least they let Samoa Joe win clean. At least he just choked him out.
Yeah.
I mean, if they would have done the thing with Devil, like helped him, and then that would have been like, okay, shit. But at least Samoa Joe's like, nah, you're going to sleep, and then we can do the rest of this chicanery bullshit later, and let's see Samoa Joe. Honestly, I think they're moving towards, and we probably don't want to hear this, I think they're moving towards a Samoa Joe versus Sting at Revolution. That's just my hunch. I think that's going to I think Joe's going to take Sting out at Revolution. That's where I'm thinking this thing's headed, but I could be wrong. But anyway, Samoa Joe's got the title. We'll see. I mean, I don't want to see Joe in that situation either, but like, if it's not Sting, then who is it at Revolution? It's probably way too early for Swerve. I know I mentioned that Joe can be like a transitional champion. I don't know if he needs to lose this quickly. Also, Swerve is technically
Revolution
a heel.
like March?
It's in March, yeah. We're like 2 months away. Swerve is also technically a heel. I know they don't really care about that, but like Samoa Joe's also technically a heel. So
I don't think we're going to get Swerve versus Joe because it looks like they set up Paige versus Swerve.
Yeah. Paige looked like a badass last night, by the way. It's crazy how a thicker mustache can just make you.
Yeah. At first I was like, what is different? And I was like, oh, it's not just like that close shave.
It's a Magnum TA. It's a Magnum TA mustache. And for as much as we give, Hangman's not the best promo, but when he's really good, when he's like unhinged.
Yeah.
And that's all they just let him do. He's just looking
for a fight.
Daddy Magic is just getting shitted on by everybody. Damn, Brody King's calling him a bitch. Hangman's just walking up in his interview. Like, there might be some like unhinged Daddy Magic stuff that happens here pretty soon. Again,
this goes back to, if you're going to have somebody talk trash, you need to punch somebody in the face. He at least got in the ring and tried to punch somebody in the face on Wednesday. It went poorly, but he tried.
And then, to your credit, Adam Page got in the ring and didn't even wait for anybody to talk shit. He just punched Swerve right in the mouth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I think also, like, the Hangman Swerve, that's probably going to be round 2 at Revolution, I would guess. I think Samoa Joe's going to take out Sting. That's just my hunch.
You might be onto something, Patrick. We lost Nick Strong. We lost that character.
Yeah.
Right? So, that was... Maybe you're onto something with the Daddy Magic thing.
And I
Roddy Strong being in that group's a mistake, by the way.
The Kingdom, I don't care that you are the ROH Tag Team Champions. All you're telling me is you are not anything important by holding those up when you've got Tag Team Champions over there that don't even, enter into your equation kind of thing, because everybody's going for gold, but we're going to go for the secondary gold, not the real gold with everybody. You got the silver. And then you got Wardlow, who is going to go for the gold when he's ready, whatever the hell that means, which if you're not even going to have Cole by March, because they say he's not expected to be ready by then. So is Wardlow not even going to be fighting in March? Is Wardlow like a June, July project? Is
hopefully Wardlow's a never project. But that's a different. I do like the kind of like Bullet Club Gold coming out. Like at least people are like remembering that shit happened to them and not just have amnesia. Like at least Jay White's like, hey, screw you. You kind of beat the shit out of me. So now we have to. And the pairing with the Acclaim, that could be funny if they get Juice Robinson back. You could imagine what those promos look like. That'd be kind of an interesting pairing.
Refresh my memory. How did Billy Gunn and his sons break up?
They were part of the like bigger group with the Acclaimed, and the Guns just turned on the Acclaimed one night.
Okay, so and Billy just said, "It's okay, kids. You can go do your thing. I'm just going to let you do it."
He's like, y'all are being.
Yeah, they beat him up too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some animosity there, and it's not just I'm not just supposed to look the other way, that I don't know it's the father and sons.
Yeah, no,
I was trying to explain that all to Jamie last night when we were watching Dynamite, and I was like, "There's a lot going on here."
The thing about this new group, though, is it like, okay, think of a guy like Jay White. Jay White has come in. Jay White, fantastic wrestler, amazing look, gets beat by MJF, loses Continental Classic. Now he's going up against this new heel group, which you would have to think needs to win for them to be any kind of threat whatsoever. So he's going to eat 3 big time losses here in a row when the dude like was main eventing Wrestle Kingdom with Okada like a year ago. It's a kind of a tough pill to swallow there.
You're forgetting 2 big things. Hangman Page is the protagonist of AEW. The entire show kind of revolves around his evolution.
That is true. I mean, that certainly was the case for the first 3 years of it. I think that there are other people who could, MJF has certainly been the main dude for his title reign. I will say though, they do have an opportunity here. I know I say this a lot. MJF even acknowledged in his Players Tribune article, like the act was getting a little stale. Fans were kind of getting tired of it. You have now Samoa Joe. You have Swerve Strickland, who the fans have gotten behind as a star. You have this, for better or for worse, you have this new heel group that Adam Cole's a part of. As much as we hate the way it all went down, they're going to be a thing going forward. You have some fresh opportunity here to do some new things. Let's see what they do. I'm not too confident the fact that they went right back to the well with Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page literally a month afterwards. That doesn't give me any kind of confidence whatsoever, but those 2 guys are great. I'm sure they'll have another good program together, but like, it's going to get real dicey for them because like we're moving into WrestleMania season. This is the year when WWE is going to start dominating. I know we'll get into this. The fucking Rock just came back and teased the damn thing with Roman Reigns. Like that's about to pop off and be a thing if that's for real. So like, I don't know, man. Are they going to be able to weather the storm while MJF's away? We'll see. We'll see.
Let's. We got two matches or 2 things to touch on.
I want to say one thing because it's humorous to me. Keep in mind, Adam Cole left WWE because he didn't want to be a manager. Now, mind you, there's extenuating circumstances here, but he left because he didn't want to be a manager, and that's all he is.
Can't stay healthy.
Yeah. If you break your ankle jumping off a stage to the floor, that's on you, dog, or your body, at least, rather. Let's go. We got a couple points before we switch to WWE. My note says Steven is going to hate this Darby and Takeshita match, and can you guess why?
He got tossed around a bunch. I know that. Why am I going to hate this?
Did you guys see it?
I saw it. Yeah.
What I missed?
Did you see it, Steven?
I did not. Evidently, I saw the match, but I didn't see what's going to make me hate this one.
There were a couple of moments. I'll have to go find it and send it to you later. That them doing this, the rolling down the damn ramp. Oh my God. And then getting busted open, or needing to get busted open, but then getting busted on the ramp. And then the knee to the head when he came through the ropes. Oh my God. Did you see those?
I saw all of that, and I'm gonna shock you here. This was the most enjoyable Darby Allin match I've ever seen.
I thought you would hate it because of the way that.
I could accept the rolling down because of the way they were doing the German suplexes down the thing. You could see the acrobatics of it where he was tucking and rolling. So those first 3, or the first two are just two people doing Cirque du Soleil roll stuff. Now that last one where he chucked him 30 yards, that had to hurt, but it's not as bad as to me, those bump, the German finisher off the top rope was a nasty ass bump, but to me, that one looked safer than the ones he's taken where he's getting dropped from the top of the turnbuckle down onto steel stairs. That ring's got a little more give than steel, I would imagine.
The knee to the head was pretty brutal, as well.
I'll say this about Darby though. It does not matter what arena in the world you're at. You can be in Mexico, you can be in Japan, you could be France, England, Canada, doesn't matter. They don't even have to know Darby's character, right? Darby is one of the rare wrestlers of all time that can just get you to buy into a match simply just due to his selling ability and the fact that he's getting his ass whooped. Those fans last night didn't really care about that match until the big bump started happening. And then they all were up on their feet. Like, that is wrestling in a nutshell. And Darby is as good as that as literally anybody of all time, I think. At getting you to buy into a match when just by his selling ability alone. It's incredible.
I said it before, I'll say it again. He is the Spike Dudley of this generation, and he has that underdog quality because of his size to fight from underneath like nobody else. I don't care about him as like a character, and I think some of the moves he does are stupid as hell. But I will say that this was my favorite match of Dynamite.
Yeah, this was good. I like the Mariah May match too. I thought that for two girls that nobody really knew anything about, they kind of were. Those slaps were legit.
She was laying them in.
She was laying them in.
But
did we ever figure out, like, was it just me that doesn't know who she is or where she came from, or was she just an indie?
She's from Stardom. I had to look this up because they said something stupid that bugged me when they were doing that backstage or the thing where Mariah has been begging Tony Storm to watch her matches, and this was her in-ring debut.
Okay, for AEW, but. Yeah. So she at least came from another.
She has been wrestling for a year somewhere else total. She has a year under her belt somewhere. Now, I don't know what that means other than she was in Stardom. I have not seen any of her stuff, but yeah.
Gotcha. So real quick before we move, y'all tell me your thoughts on Swerve versus Garcia from last night.
It was a main event.
I mean, I liked it. I mean, that's AEW. They're going a little bit in circles with Danny Garcia. This is kind of the same exact story we told with him a year ago when he was, the underdog that was beating Bryan Danielson and all this kind of stuff. So they keep going back and forth. The dance, though, is the best thing that's happened to Danny Garcia. It's at least giving him something. The crowd's reacting to it. As soon as he faced off with Prince Nana, the crowd stood up because they knew exactly what was about to happen, and they were waiting to see it.
That got a holy shit chant in the middle of a match, and to me that is a beginning thing. That is not a middle of your match, because there was two things that killed momentum in that match. The dance was one of them. The sharpshooter for extra leverage on a table was the secondary one.
Yeah, they kind of fucked that up.
Yeah, shit happens though.
There is no reason to do a submission move on a desk. It doesn't change any damn thing.
I'd still like to see him get a nice face run. And I feel like that's what they're setting him up for.
Are they though? All he is the nearly guy. He's almost anything.
I mean, I think
at some point
they're building him.
You gotta move him on up.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind too, he's also incredibly young. So like he's a dude that you can. I don't know. Will he ever be a world champion? Probably not. But like, could he be a dude? Could he be like a Dean Malenko? I know that might be sacrilegious, but like, can he be a dude that's just a stalwart in AEW for 15 years? Yeah, he can be that.
My biggest thing about here's where I'm getting back to where you have time to show all these interviews that you want. Every match on this show could have been 3 minutes shorter.
Oh, I agree with you. Eddie Kingston should have been on the show live with a mic in his hand in the ring, and then you should have went
instead of on commentary.
Instead of on commentary, yeah, he should have been in that crowd.
Now, I get
Same with
that,
Samoa Joe.
and that was a pre-cut interview from a week ago almost at this stage. And I get that all your main stars are over in Japan doing somebody else's show, which is a dumbass thing on Tony Khan's part for allowing all his main stars to go to another show. But here we are. If you cut 3 minutes off of every match that they did, you could have had Samoa Joe live. You could have had any of those Continental Classics. You could have had Eddie Kingston not just doing color commentary on a put together match between 4 dudes that were just randomly picked out of a hat from that can that Tony Khan has in the back, one of which didn't even get an intro. So I'm shock on me who got the pin.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Who even won? I don't remember.
Beretta.
Oh, okay, Trent. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't hate on Tony Khan letting for those guys go to Wrestle Kingdom because like that Okada Danielson match slapped pretty fucking hard. So did that Ospreay Finlay Mox match. Was
I'm not arguing that those were
killer.
good matches. I'm not arguing that, but you scheduled something better, man. And did you do? I mean, it wasn't that this weekend, but did you see the match with Ibushi?
No, I don't watch Ibushi matches anymore.
He over in Japan. he was defending his title over there. Did a crappy ass senton out into the crowd, broke his ankles. This is what I'm talking about. You have signed Will Ospreay to a contract while he is still somewhere else wrestling, and shit like that can happen at any given moment.
Well,
I mean,
and that is the other thing to talk about. One Mr. William Ospreay seemingly has finished his time with New Japan. Wrestle Kingdom was, if you're listening to this on Friday, yesterday. He's going to be making his way in pretty damn soon. And you want to talk about star power, that entrance at Wrestle Kingdom, that crowd was pretty damn loud for William Ospreay. So talk about a dude that's an international superstar. If you're trying to make headway in different countries, especially in Japan, I don't see how that dude's not positioned in some kind of meaningful situation right away.
So is he your transition from Joe to him right away?
I would still do Swerve. I think Swerve Strickland needs to be the next AEW World Champion. I would have Ospreay go toe-to-toe with some big guys and have him in a high-profile match in Wembley Stadium. I don't know if he's challenging for the title at Wembley. He might. He's all over all the promotional work. But I think my lineage would go Samoa Joe, Swerve, Ospreay in some sort of situation.
Let's get into WWE. We've a little long on AEW there, but we had 3 Dynamites to cover.
Yeah.
So let's switch gears.
And WWE had a best of show and then, more or less Monday.
Right. Yeah. I don't have notes for this, so this is all on you guys. I did see some of the headlines, that maybe Cody's story doesn't quite get finished this year. I don't know.
I've been talking about this for a while, and you keep saying that no one gives a crap about Rock and Reigns. People want to see it. Now, I'm going to go back on what I said a little bit. I think Cody and Roman does actually happen in WrestleMania. I think The Rock will happen at Elimination Chamber in Australia at this stage.
I'm fine with that.
You think Rock's coming back for Elimination Chamber?
I think he is coming back for Elimination Chamber. And it's a head of the table match. Whether or not they put the title on the line or not doesn't matter. But I think
I'd be fine with that as long as it doesn't interrupt Cody's fucking story. And we know that's going to be a Mania thing.
Yeah, I think
it is kind of cool though. Like if they do Rock at Elimination Chamber, that's now 2 years in a row where what has historically been just a whatever pay-per-view to get us to WrestleMania now takes on some stakes. Last year was Sami Zayn main eventing, where some people were like, hey, I mean, it's a long shot, but does he beat Roman Reigns? Like, especially if The Rock was coming back, we didn't know at the time. Now, if they do Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber, I mean, I feel like that's going to be the new thing. We're going to get 3 months here of Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, where WWE's just going to dominate, and they're going to throw some big name people out there for all these shows. And, you know, I'm not mad at it if it happens like that. Now, if it happens at WrestleMania and Cody Rhodes once again is left spinning his wheels for a year to quote unquote finish the story, that's going to get repetitive. I think much like MJF's title run in AEW, people are kind of over Roman Reigns. I mean, they want to see him versus The Rock, but that's more for The Rock than for Roman, right? I mean, that's clear.
Sure.
I think they just want some fresh new blood in there, so we'll see what happens.
Cody's story, the director's cut.
I've been thinking about this for a little bit of why, because I was trying to figure out why I was giving AEW so much grief for this long running Devil storyline when I'm not giving WWE the same grief about the Roman Reigns one. And to me, it comes down to, while Roman has gone on for so darn long, there have been some amazing story beats, character development, and people that have been built to be bigger than they are, as opposed to what we got out of the MJF one. The only person that got elevated out of that was MJF, and it was so far in the beginning of that it was top heavy, and then you just drug for the next long period.
Well, Roman's also not on TV every week. They have the luxury of having him be off of TV for not just weeks at a time, literal months at a time. And I mean, also keep in mind, a lot of this goes back to Sami. If we didn't have the Sami Zayn run last year, how much different do you think fan sentiment towards Roman Reigns would be? Because by the time Sami came around, people were already kind of wearing thin on that. But Sami is that storyline was so magical, and he's such a magical performer. People got behind it, and it became literally the best thing in wrestling last year. And now without that, we've seen what's happened with it this year.
It's the thing that got me back into WWE, but also now, like, I don't watch WWE that much. I'll watch Rumble. I'll watch the pay-per-views. And if I'm not doing anything, sometimes I have turned on WWE the last couple of weeks, but I honestly couldn't really tell you what I've watched and what I haven't watched.
It is definitely one of those things where I think Sami extended that story by a year. And that's not a bad thing, but because that year that he gave them was an amazing, that essentially made you think that the Elimination Chamber's potential to not just be a throwaway pay-per-view.
Yeah, but we thought, I guess I'll kind of backtrack on Roman here a little bit. I was praising Roman Reigns last year because I thought his character was helping elevate a lot of these other people, like a Jay and a Sami. It might actually be the other way. It might actually be that Sami and Jay are such talented performers who have never been put in a limelight spot that when they finally do, they're the ones that shine. And now that Roman is not attached to them whatsoever, it's kind of like, well, this is the Roman Reigns that everyone was booing when he was being pushed down the throat of everybody. Like, yeah, like you got a yeet thing. Like, it might just be that these dudes were just waiting for a shot and they got one, and they're the reasons why the thing was working so well, not the other way around.
Do you feel like you could say the same thing about Drew McIntyre? Do you think that he was just waiting to have his moment to shine again? Or do you think Roman elevated him?
See, it's a good question. But did Roman elevate Drew? I mean, he's right back to doing... that was a Clash of the Castle thing. That was in a backyard. That was in a huge environment. Like, there were a lot of things at play there. Also, I mean, there was a Solo Sikoa debut. Like, I don't know. It's just that we gave Roman, or I'll say me, I gave Roman a lot of credit for elevating these guys last year. I remember when we talking about the War Games match and Roman's character just sitting there and being stoic. I was like, this is one of the greatest wrestling characters of all time. Just his ability to do that. But like, it might be because these guys were in the story. And now that they're attached from that, if Roman's going to have this thing with The Rock, I think this is really important for Roman's legacy. I honestly believe this. If he shits the bed in promo battles against The Rock, we're going to have to look at this dude and be like, we're actually, okay, everyone was putting him on Mount Rushmore, Roman Reigns. Where does he actually belong? Because now here's a bona fide superstar. Roman doesn't have Sammy. Roman doesn't have Jay, dudes who are now two of the biggest baby faces in that company. And he shits the bed. Like, after all those years that Vince tried to push him down the throat as the biggest baby face in the company, and the fans just rejected that. It's kind of the same thing all over again.
But keep in mind, this is not the Rock this is not Rock in his prime. This is Rock who is doing the same promos repeatedly over and over, where I'm going to get one side of the crowd to call you this, and the other side of the crowd is going to call you this, and we'll sit here for 5 minutes and let them do that and then move on. He's not cutting the same kind of promos that the Rock used to cut.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Rock still has his fastball or not. He's the biggest. I mean, you heard it Monday night. The music hits. Everyone's involved in it. Like,
you get Samantha Irving over there peeing herself.
That's all he has to do. So now, like, if they're going to do Roman and Rock at Elimination Chamber, I mean, realistically, like, if Roman goes out there and does not look well, because nobody's going to give a shit about the match. The match is whatever. It's going to be the promo battles that people respond to. It's going to be the way Roman looks when he's standing next to The Rock. If this does not work out well, we're going to have a serious conversation about where do we place Roman Reigns in terms of all-time great, because this is where WWE wants us to place him. This is the reason he's had the title for forever. They want him to be thought of the way that we think of Hulk Hogan.
17 years.
And Stone Cold and The Rock. And, like, I don't know if Roman has that kind of charisma that these other guys have had.
I will say that this is the best Roman has ever looked. This is the first time that he has not had go away heat with me. I feel like this is a massive character development for him. I think that he was playing it well. I do think that his supporting ensemble cast has definitely left him, and that's hurt his story. But I think he still is helping to get people a little bit higher. Right now, we're suffering from a bounty of comebacks of top tier people. I mean, we've got Randy Orton, we've got AJ Styles, who are pushing the people that Roman would have been elevating a little bit more further and further down those cards. But
I think we'll have to, depending on how Elimination Chamber works out, and to an extent WrestleMania too, we will have to look back at Roman and be like, was he so special because he was elevating these people? Or was he so special because he got in at a great moment where guys like Sami Zayn and Jey Uso finally got a shot in the spotlight, and their natural talent that had been buried for forever finally got to come out, and Roman just happened to be standing beside him? Mm-hmm. That's going to be, because Sami is still over as hell. Jey Uso is still over as hell, and they haven't touched Roman Reigns in a minute. So it's going to be interesting. Roman's going to be somebody that, like, wrestling podcast 15 years from now are still going to be talking about where do we place him all time. He's going to be that kind of conundrum for people.
Now, if The Rock goes to WrestleMania and faces Roman, he's keeping that title till September.
And yeah, if you don't have go away heat with you now, if that happens, I promise you he will. People are going to be begging for Cody Rhodes to finish that damn story. He'll be like, damn, George R.R. Martin, like, can you just fucking finish this book already? I just want to just have it be done with it, please.
1,200 page book.
Yeah.
So what else y'all got for WWE?
I mean, we had Drew getting another match and not getting anywhere with it. We had Becky Lynch putting over Nia Jackson, one of the best. Don't shake your head. You have to admit that this was one of the best Nia Jax matches you had seen.
Who cares?
That's such a low bar. That's such a low bar.
It is. And the only reason it was as good as it was is because of Becky Lynch. But still, the reason why you have to care is because this is going to be your Elimination Chamber women's title match.
You said before we recorded that this was the best match of the night, and I was like, that's a low fucking bar.
But see, like I said, it wasn't that this one was better than everything. It was that this was better than I expected it to, and then everything else was kind of right around that same level. It was a solid B show, but this was in in something
in a 3-hour show.
But still, hold on. You're saying that like B isn't above average.
I'm saying that if Nia Jax had the best match of the night, granted she was in a ring with Becky Lynch, then in a 3-hour show, then something's got to change.
To me, this Raw was on par with what we saw for Dynamite. So if you enjoyed Dynamite, you got about the same level of entertainment of Raw, and Nia Jax stepped up her game, is what I'm trying to say.
I thought Dynamite was pretty fucking good last night.
Again, 3 minutes taken off every one of those matches. You got Orange Cassidy doing a personality battle with a guy who, there are so many people that when you talk about how you think Julia, the Creed brothers need to get a personality, they just can't be the people that wrestle well. That is how I feel about a majority of it, the AEW roster. Dante is an amazing performer. And he's got the personality of a bag full of grits. It's just mushy and ain't nobody cares anything other than the fantastic moves he does. You get you get Quinn and Zay back together. So I'm assuming they can eat pins for 3 other teams. They don't even call out the tag team champions and I'm going to call out all the entire tag team. They call out Danhausen and Hook while Orange Cassidy lingers in the background going, I'm still here. I don't know if I should leave or if I should stay in a match. You got Brian Keith eating a pin so that Trent Beretta can be the first challenger to Eddie Kingston's new super important, we just made this title. That is a B show at best. And
I'd rather watch all that twice over than watch one more second of Nia Jax. I'll give you the rest of the Raw was fine, but I'm not Nia Jax. I fast forward the whole thing, saw the ending.
I can see that spinning in your head the whole time he was talking. I was just watching. I just don't. Patrick's just waiting.
Like, you want to talk about giving? Why is Nia Jax positioned the way she is? Let's just be honest. So if Nia Jax was 145 pounds, is she in WWE?
Oh no, she is where she's at for one very, very, very big reason.
So cool. I want to watch somebody else.
To have Rhea Ripley pick her up and slam her to the mat, to have her eat a pin at Elimination Chamber, to make Rhea look like a badass.
But I've already seen Rhea Ripley body slam Luke Gallows, and I've seen Rhea Ripley body slam other men. I don't need to see Rhea Ripley carry Nia Jax through another damn match.
But have you seen either of those guys get hit and then yell, my ass?
My hole. Wasn't it my hole last year, yeah. 2 years ago?
Well, this year was my ass.
I listen, I love Becky Lynch, but I fast forward.
I'm glad I didn't watch Raw.
And I was like, that started the show too. And I was like, oh God, here we go. Somebody better show up.
I'll tell you one thing I did see WWE related, and I couldn't tell you the wrestlers' names because I don't watch NXT, but the dual fling off the rope, did you see that? The
jump
spring?
That was NXT. That was the Wild and Cruz. So Santos Escobar's former henchmen, and they launched her ass like a...
That shit was awesome.
Yeah. Now,
cool. Good stuff.
There could have been higher points on Raw, but we had some. You had Giovanni Vinci eating a potential concussion. You had so they stopped that match. You had the Awesome Truth against the Judgment Day, so that was good for what it was, which was stupid. Ripley and Ivy Nile was better than it probably should have been.
Yeah, but I don't. We talked about Swerve and Dustin being shorter. This should have been Rhea just decapitates Ivy, and that's it. Don't try to sell me that this girl is gonna beat her up. Rhea should be at the moment where she's just literally running through people till she gets to Becky Lynch, because that has to be what they're gonna do at WrestleMania.
I don't think it is.
You don't think they do Rhea and Becky?
I think they do Rhea and Bianca.
Okay. Well, one of the two. I mean, Rhea is going to have one of those two. So just let her run through people. Cause she's done Ivy now. And then what was it? Alpha Academy girl. What's her name? That was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but that was a match that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. But anyway, and then Corey, you missed it, but we had another fiasco with the cash in. I still don't know what does it take to cash in a fucking briefcase. How many times do you have to look at a referee before it just becomes official? I do not understand that.
Do they have to fucking get the paper out of there and sign it?
It's just it's comical at this point, is what it is. Honestly, it is comical. Just take it away from him. You don't want him to win.
I'm hoping they do take it away from him. I'm hoping that this is the twist that gets Drew and Rhea together and has Damian out on an island of fix his shit up activity. But I want somebody to pull a Christian Cage and just take that briefcase, open it up, put their own name on that thing and cash it in on something.
For as high as a lot of people were on Damian Priest at last year's Backlash with the main event match against Bad Bunny, I think this dude has falling off the face of a cliff in terms of where his career is at. 100%. I don't think he has. I think he is wooden. I don't think he has any kind of charisma whatsoever. He has a decent look, but like he doesn't look like Drew McIntyre. Do you know what I mean? Like he kind of just is nothing. And so you put him in the match and you give him the damn briefcase. I don't know why they did that if they didn't think that they were, unless giving him the briefcase was a test of let's see how this dude does now that we put him in a big spot. And I think if this is a test, he's failed.
Well, I mean,
it's dragging out.
He's definitely appearing more and more like a dumbass with every moment that goes by. But I don't know if that's necessarily not what they wanted to test him with to see if he could do some different things outside of just being the imposing person he was supposed to be.
Well, I think we have our answer about how they feel about him. We will probably have another Raw where he looks at a referee for 10 seconds, says, I'm cashing in. The referee's like, are you sure? Are you sure? Yes, I came down here, dog. I'm not in this match. I walked down the whole ramp.
I don't blame them for asking at this point. I mean, because every time he tries to, he gets his ass kicked. So maybe they're asking him to see if he wants to get his ass kicked again.
Well, then the referee should have his hands by his side and just be like, dog, no, you don't want to do this. Not right now. Just wait. Something bad's going to happen. The one that cracked me up was when he ran down the ramp with the ref and they both slid in the ring and he gave the ref the briefcase. The ref's like, are you sure? It's like, motherfucker, we ran down here. You were right beside me the whole time.
I was sitting in the back, man. I was chilling.
So anyway, I'm much like the devil stuff. I just want the briefcase far away from Judgment Day. I want Judgment Day far away from any kind of title whatsoever, other than Rhea Ripley. Cause she's the only really huge star of that group. Now Finn you got Finn and Dominic. So I guess it is just Damian at this point that they need to kind of separate themselves from. So we will see, what happens with this. Cause you have to think it's going to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins anyway at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I sent y'all a tweet the other day that said that like we just passed the 1 year anniversary of Dom's quote unquote incarceration. I can't talk today.
Here's what they should do with Damian Priest. Just have him be CM Punk's heater. CM Punk's going to need the huge dude standing beside him. And Damian doesn't have to talk. He doesn't have to talk. CM Punk can do the legwork for him. Just let him do that. And see if you can't build him back up if you have high hopes for him, or hopefully this thing hasn't soured WWE on the thought of Damian Priest whatsoever. But like, that would be an okay spot for him.
I kind of forgot Punk was back in WWE for a second.
The R-Truth thing is funny, but it's not helping Judgment Day.
Right.
So.
It just makes them look like chumps.
Speaking of heaters, what do y'all think about this pairing that's evidently coming with Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain?
That's the first I've heard about it, and I give two shits.
You remember when Karrion Kross came out and re-debuted and he like stood across the ring from Roman Reigns and people were like, oh, and then it just didn't happen?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well, the other big WWE news that's coming out this week is WWE lost a big time long term person backstage. Kevin Dunn is gone. So we might start getting some new shots and new angles and new cutaways and all kinds of stuff that is going to give you a fresh look at what may be Raw for 3 hours.
I meant to say one of the things I saw the other day was that he's done at WWE, and should AEW go after him and try to fix that shit, or no?
No.
The guy that evidently AEW has on their staff right now was the guy that Triple H had always planned for Dunn to be replaced by, and when that little minor coup d'etat, let's sell the company thing happened, that guy ended up over in AEW. And now it's a question of whether or not he's coming back or if he's going to keep doing whatever the heck he's doing over there.
It's crazy. Obviously I talked about before with the Ospreay thing. Wrestle Kingdom was this week. And just watching clips of New Japan and watching their camera work and the way that they cover matches, it's so refreshing. Because they just let the camera linger for the camera will literally, no joke, sit on a sequence for 3 minutes and not cut. And just let the wrestlers do their thing. And it looks way more athletic that way. It looks a lot more vicious. And again, it also helps that the guys in New Japan are really laying some stuff in. The reason they have to do a lot of that in WWE is because if they just let the camera linger in WWE, a lot of these people are going to get exposed. It's like, this person, that did not look good whatsoever. But I don't know. It's just, I wish that there would be more of that. We've kind of, here in this country, it seems like we've kind of hit a brick wall as to just how pro wrestling is broadcast through the television in terms of just the entrance ramps, the shots, the graphics. AEW just kind of looks like WWE. There really ain't no difference between them. AEW had more of a difference when it was earlier, but now they have the big LED boards. Now there's quick cuts all over the place. But they do a worse job at it. They don't, half the time that you just miss action because they're not good enough at the WWE. But I don't know. I would just kind of like
wrestling's still better.
I would just like to see something radically different. I don't know.
Well, one of the things I've definitely noticed where they take from New Japan is the crowd reaction, where watching Wrestle Kingdom, just how the crowd is in a hush through most of the match and then occasionally popping here or there. That is exactly what AEW does. They just have those crowds sitting on their hands through most of the match. And when they can get themselves over, they will get themselves over. But otherwise, it's not the circus cheering that the WWE crowd has.
New Japan also, for the most part, they really don't use the hard cam that much. The shots that they use are the cameras that are on the floor on the side looking up at the wrestlers. That's a lot of the shots are that. And I think they're just better, particularly when it comes to promos. A lot of times in New Japan promos, when a dude's doing a promo, the camera doesn't cut at all. It doesn't cut to another angle. It doesn't show the audience. It just sits on the dude as he's like a monologue, like a theater. So we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, I mean, Kevin Dunn, there's going to be a lot of wrestling fans who don't really cry any kind of tears whatsoever that he's gone. So,
but no, I don't think he'll go to AEW. I think he is going to go do whatever his little heart wants to do, but it ain't going to be that. He was a Vince McMahon guy through and through. Vince hired him as, a young kid, and was there 40 plus years. I don't see him really doing anything else.
Roger. Well, cool. Unless y'all have anything else, I think that's it. Did y'all see the Iron Claw? Or are you gonna wait?
Not yet. I hadn't seen it yet. Other than the terrible Ric Flair, which I've texted about multiple times this Christmas break. It should have just been MJF.
Yeah. Yeah, because MJF's the lines got cut.
Yeah, he should have just been.
He's
Ric
in
Flair.
there for about 3 seconds in one of the montage sequences. Yeah, the Flair guy was pretty rough. But people were making a huge deal out of him. Like, yeah, he was not good, but he's in 2 scenes, really.
The reason people
And one of them is a promo.
the reason people are making a big deal about it though is because like literally you can throw a rock and hit somebody that does a better Ric Flair impression than the guy that they paid money to be in the movie playing Ric Flair did.
Sure. I'll give you that.
So
Other than that, I just thought like his part was very minor.
Yeah, but it's the minor thing, as you said. There's somebody who can do a better Ric Flair. You can probably throw that same rock and hit somebody who it would be harder for you to hit somebody that doesn't know who Ric Flair was. So it's something that stands out as somebody that everybody knows in a movie full of people that only a certain demographic knows.
They might not necessarily know who Bruiser Brody was.
right.
So yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, we can talk about that at some point when y'all see it, but I guess that'll do it for us. This was we knew this was going to be a longer one because we had 3 Dynamites to cover and more pay-per-view and such. So next week we'll only have what do we say? SmackDown, Collision, and Raw to cover. So might be WWE heavy next week. We'll try to do Tuesdays again and get back on track for Wednesdays. So, yeah, we appreciate y'all listening to us, and tell your friends about us if you enjoy the show. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Later.